Let's make a dueling game that is actually two games in one. Can be a lot of family fun, but the first thing I need to do is I'm going to cut a board down to 20 inches by 8 inches. I wanted to go wider than 8 inches, but there's a reason I didn't, and I'll get to that later. I want to have a triangle peg game at each end of the board. So I'm going to start out by measuring in about 11/16 from each side, and I'm going to find the center and go up 5 7/16 of an inch and make a mark. When I connect the dots, that will give me the triangle for my games. The outer edge of my router plate is exactly 3 inches from the center of the router bit. So I know if I want to cut a V groove, I can measure out 3 inches from the intended line, set up a straight edge, and use that to guide my cut.
Wow, that's looking really good. Personally, I probably would have used a CNC myself.
That's true, Chris, but we all don't have multi-thousand-dollar CNC machines like you do over at Custom Creative Carvings. As you may have guessed, this is a collaboration with several channels. We're all making games. So after you watch this video, you're probably going to want to go check out their videos as well.
And this is why I say everybody needs a CNC.
Over at my table saw, we need to cut a 1 inch dowel about 12.5 inches long.
Hey, you need to raise the blade. That's better.
For the ring toss portion of the game, I took a couple of boards, ripped them down to 2.5 inches wide, made one of them 7 inches long and the other one 15.5 inches long. Then I was able to take it over to the router table and chamfer each end for a little visual flair. Mark and drill a 1 inch hole in each of these boards. Now I lay out the measurements for what's going to look like a shot ladder or a shot flight. These are going to be 1.5 inches from the edge and spaced 2 inches apart, and we're going to use a 1.5 inch Forstner bit to make shallow holes for scorekeeping.
Hey RT, it's a shot ski. The perfect backyard drinking game.
No. Over at the Dad Cave, you may be making a shot ski, but here we're just making something to keep score. I had previously made a jig to make some of these triangle peg games, so I just used that to mark mine, but you can find a pattern online or draw out where to drill yourself. Using a 3/16 inch drill bit, I drilled each of the holes for the triangle peg game, and this is why the board needed to only be 8 inches across, because my drill press can only reach for 4 inches. And so the last hole has to be drilled. If you don't have a drill press, a regular drill could be used. Now some sanding will make everything smooth.
Wait a minute. Missed a spot.
Thanks, Sandy from Mackenzie Lumber Mill. I look forward to seeing your project as well. It's now time to assemble all of our pieces. I'm going to go ahead and put a punch where I'm going to start the screw eyes to hang the string, and then I'm going to make sure that I'm using enough glue so that all the pieces can really stay together. I'm not going to use any screws or nails to piece together this project. Throughout assembly, I keep checking with a square to make sure things are aligning correctly. After attaching both pieces to the dowel, I want to check to make sure that they're lined up and parallel to each other before the glue dries. I can do that by setting it on the floor and making adjustments. If it sits flat on the floor, I know that it's in alignment. With the pieces glued to the dowel, it's now time to glue that whole piece to the base. I started to spread the glue with a brush, but decided to use my finger because I knew it would drive Everyman Builds crazy because he doesn't like to touch glue with his fingers. After positioning this in the center of the main board, I'm able to secure it with a couple of pieces of scrap wood and clamps to my workbench. I let the glue set up and then I'm ready to go. I attach the hardware and it's ready to play. I didn't add any finish to this project because my daughter wants to paint it. I'll see what she comes up with and I'll release that in a later video and show you how to play and win at these games. Also, there were many creators who made games for their family, and those videos can be watched here in the upper right hand corner.